I'm Vivita.
With the two Pilates Chicks. It is season 7, episode 3.
We figured it out.
Yeah, we did figure it out. It took us a moment. So we should probably, is caveat the right word?
Preface this
with, we wanted to have a conversation, and it's pretty much a conversation. We don't know where it's going to go. We're not preaching. Mm-hmm. We're not saying what this is or that is. But it originally started with us having a conversation. I think it started because we had someone ask us what the difference was between traditional and classical. And that kind of sparked this conversation.
Because a couple ladies came in who are in the Pilates industry, but I don't think they're teachers themselves. They were coming in for a session,
yes.
And they, I think, were thinking that you teach classical. So, and they were very intrigued when you said, well, no, I teach traditional. And they said, oh, tell me more. What is that?
Yeah, they were fascinated. They wanted to know everything. And then we threw they did some Kathy Grant straps. And so they learned about Kathy Grant. It was interesting because it's not the first time we've heard that question.
Yeah. And so I thought it'd be interesting to talk about what traditional is and what these other titles are that we have in the Pilates
kind of like
industry.
Labels, if you want to say that. Because then we classify, when we went through teacher trainings, contemporary, we now call it OG contemporary.
At the time, it was just
contemporary.
But nothing like what we're seeing
but now we kind of say modern or reformer fitness. Although now we're seeing things where they're doing tower classes and one-to-chair classes. And
so, like, what we see now, we're, like, calling the Pilates fitness, but we don't even want to call it Pilates because it's not what you might recognize as what was Pilates.
And that's where we're getting, like, in this conversation of, like, we don't want to sit there and go, this is Pilates, this is not Pilates. So we were trying to figure out what is that in terms of how you broach that. And it was basically, we thought if you're fully comprehensively trained, which means like especially back in the day, that was our only choice.
That was what it was.
It was like you had to learn everything.
And then you can go teach mat or a reformer class or something, but you would learn
They didn't
everything.
have those when I came. It was like there was only studios.
Yeah, we just had studios, but we would do like some mat classes like in our ballet studio,
ballet
studios, to warm up for a class or something. So you could,
but they didn't have like now.
No.
Yeah, but you knew. And that's what we were talking about. We knew even if people were contemporarily trained back in the day, they still learned Joseph Pilates' work.
Yeah.
The mat work, all the mat exercises, the reformer. They learned ladder barrel and this and that. Yeah. And so that thread of Pilates was there.
Yeah.
Even though they might have, like and you can talk about yours too, as we both kind of went through where we had threads of other things in our Pilates teaching.
Yeah.
But now you have these, like you were talking about, these where you're watching things on the apparatus that aren't anything to do with the work that he created, the 100 or roll up or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where it's circusy. Maybe. Or fitness
based. And that's kind of what I was thinking, where I'm like, okay, like what is like Legree? Like there's all this, and now like Legree's not being marketed
now
as
he's
Pilates,
marketing
but
different,
it had been. And so the difference is like, okay, Legree was based on Pilates, but it's not Pilates because
and the exercises were totally different and called different things.
But they'll like call it footwork or I don't know. But like the original idea, I think there's teaser in there somewhere. I haven't done it for a while, but
I haven't done it forever.
But the whole idea, like the Megaformer is based on the idea of a reformer because it's a moving platform on some wheels against, with a mat against some springs. But there's a different emphasis and a different goal, and so it's not Pilates. And the whole argument of what counts as Pilates, I get really annoyed with, because I feel like we're minimizing some people's work in ways, and it's like we don't need to have that like nitpicky of an argument.
Yeah, it's not a snobby like, oh, you don't teach Pilates.
Yeah, because you don't do 100 this way, so you don't count as Pilates. Like that I hate. But the idea of like what counts as Pilates in terms of like almost like a scholarly question of like, if I'm going into a Pilates class, what am I going to be expecting? And sometimes the things that we see are crazy and very much not what you would expect to be coming out of a Pilates class. And so similarly, like if you're going into yoga and you're like, I'm going to go take vinyasa yoga, you know what to expect.
We had that discussion,
versus like, I'm going to go take a yin yoga class. You know that that's going to be very different. So in terms of Pilates, is the work recognizable within the core movements of Joe's work?
Yeah, and I think we had that discussion about yoga because Pilates does not have that differentiation between styles, if you want to call it styles, unless we go with traditional, classical, and contemporary and modern. And that is really the only basis you're going to have, but most people don't know, like I'm talking about consumers or participants, they don't know the work, and their first exposure is going to be the first time they walk into wherever they walk in and are being told this is Pilates. That's what they think it is. So it's like...
And then it's, well, you're just making me think that when you said like consumers don't know, like, clients really don't know, but also these days teachers don't even know.
That's why we're here to talk about this conversation.
Because we've also heard from new teachers coming out of some teacher training programs, some big named ones who are advertising as classical when they are actually original contemporary. Yeah. And maybe not even original contemporary these days.
Right, even then. But it's like, so it's confusing to the teachers coming through because actually, we had a teacher want to rent space and come in. A couple. Yeah, it was more than one.
That's what was surprising. So it was a couple different teachers, new teachers.
And I said, they send their resume. So I'm looking at the different studios they taught at, and I'm like, I'm not seeing any traditional classical apparatus.
Right.
It's all contemporary, or it was a lot of, reformer fitness stuff too.
Right.
But then they said, I was classically trained through blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that is not a classical training.
Yeah.
And they'd never been on, and I said, well,
they've never been on Grotz.
Yeah. Or Legacy or Pilates by Design. It's like, I said, we teach on Grotz. And they're like, oh, I've never been. And that's a totally different
and that kind of
feeling.
Yeah, completely different feeling. And so, like, for both of us, we've taught on everything. At this point. And
I have not taught on stock, I will say that.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
Everything else.
But, like, everything else. And, I've taught Balanced Body and Peak and Grotz and whatever. And I think...
Balanced Body probably more than...
Yeah.
Because
that's the biggest main contemporary stuff. Mm-hmm. But the idea of if somebody is classically or traditionally trained, they should have been trained on, I'll just say Grotz, but like Grotz and others similar.
Yeah. Legacy, Pilates by Design.
Those
are the
types
ones
of like a reformer with 4 equally weighted springs and like that.
The dimensions being...
Yeah, because that compared to, as we've done in a previous podcast, compared to other types of apparatus, the spring, the way the wheels work, everything works very differently. So the exercises feel very different. And at home, I have a Balanced Body reformer. And here in our studio, we have Grotz. And so they're very different. I will do my work and my own workouts very differently.
Yeah. And we both have taught on contemporary. And so it's like... You just know, and here's where it comes into the whole Pilates, right? So we learned in our teacher training, we were fully comprehensive, we went out into the world, and you learn, on this apparatus, the work. So this, I need to tweak it in this way because the dimensions are different, or the drag is different, the spring is different, so I need to, this isn't going to work here because of da-da-da. We talked about, it's like, we talked about with like a I worked at a studio that didn't have small barrels, and they had a Bosu ball. This was, I don't even know how many years ago, but it was when I was at the rehab, and they had fitness trainers and the rehab situation, and so I figured out, okay, well, this can work on this, that won't work, but this can. So you kind of learn to adapt, but you
adapt the work.
You adapt the work, and you might change it a little bit, which the contemporary kind of comes into.
And that counts as Pilates.
And that's Pilates, because you're still in, like we talked about, knowing the why, knowing the how, knowing the original work, and being able to see this is helping in this situation for this, that, whatever it is. Instead of just like, oh, let's do this. Okay, now da-da-da-da-da, and just
throwing things everywhere.
Making stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, and in my studio for many years, like, we didn't have a chair that I felt had appropriate feedback for a lot of the traditional exercises. And so I would adapt it as needed to be able to have the client do what they needed on the chair. And similarly with other springs on the Cadillac. And, you do what you need with the equipment that you have.
You get to use that critical thinking that you learn in the fully comprehensive, because it's like, hopefully, because you have to figure out this body, what can feed into this.
Yeah, what works for that client. And I think that's kind of the main point, is like, just because we're making changes and adapting to the client and not sticking like to the exact order all the time for every single person, exactly how the picture looks, that doesn't mean it's not Pilates.
Right.
Because Pilates is this recognizable within the scope of Pilates? Does it help this client achieve what we're trying to do? Are we doing what works for them? We're sticking within the philosophy of the work. So just because you're changing something necessarily doesn't mean that it's not Pilates suddenly.
No. And I go to like the change, and I think about like Eve Gentry, Ron Fletcher, Kathy Grant. And they didn't change his exercises, but they created ones that was in their work that thread into that helped the body they were teaching, that helped that they're like, oh, I see a loss here. Let's figure this out. So that they got creative, but they still had, this is his work, but here we go. And it's going to feed in. So it's kind of like you were talking about with fully comprehensive teacher, they're aware of that, the work, but they're truly adapting as they're teaching to that person. Yeah,
which is the goal. The whole goal.
I mean, his whole thing was to be able to learn in the studio what helps you in the outside world. And keeps you moving. So it's like...
I mean...
And never like, you have to be in this exact... And
I think that's where the argument on social media gets lost a lot, when people are like, well, that's not Pilates. And it's like, well, but is this something that's helping a client? Does it thread in with the work of Pilates in general?
Or is it so off the radar, you're like, see nothing in any way, shape, or form that connects for this, like, why? It's almost the why question. Why are you giving that to that client? Why? Why? Give me an answer. Do you have an answer?
I mean, and that's really it. Like, why are you picking that exercise for them to do what? And like, okay, are you doing burpees in the middle of a Pilates class? Like, that's not really Pilates connected.
But we do
functional
training.
So,
but don't we say it too, though? We say, okay, this is more. I even did it today with my client Liz, where I was like, okay, we're going to do a little more functional training today, because she's getting ready to do some stuff and she has back issues. And so we did our Pilates, got warmed up, did some functional training.
And I throw in a lot of like my mat gym training stuff, like, and a lot of my rehab PT training stuff.
Exactly.
But I'm picking things for a reason and threading it in with the person's workout.
Someone said,
for a reason.
why are you doing that? You would have an answer. I think that's the key.
And so I think that makes a big difference, because it's like, just because you're pulling out weights doesn't mean it's not Pilates, but why are you pulling out the weights and how are you using it?
Well, in classical, they use the small weights and they do some standing arms, which he did. And it's Pilates.
And I'm thinking just now, like, also the argument's not saying you shouldn't be doing any other types of movement. Like,
No.
do your Pilates, go do your jogs, go do your weight training, do all these things.
Do your yoga, do your dance, whatever.
But similarly, for the reason I don't like, for myself, to do, like, Soul Cycle, I don't like doing weights on a spin bike.
Well, it's like the conversation we had last summer with Kevin Bowen, where he's like, if I'm going to go do yoga, I'm going to go do yoga. If I'm going to do Pilates, I'm going to do Pilates. If I'm going to do weight training, I'm going to do weight training.
But I don't want to
mess them up.
Yeah. I don't want it all at once. And it's fine to do all the different things. Like, nobody's saying you should only do Pilates 7 days a week. That would be insane. But go do your other stuff.
Want to, but they don't.
Yeah. But when you're going to go do your Pilates, and if you're teaching Pilates, what are you teaching? Yeah. And do you know?
Yeah. And I think that's where we get so, like, riled up when we're on social media, which we do hate. We don't really like to be on it. Which, if you notice, we have backed off on our posting because we can't. But it's almost like you're watching these, and it's not their fault, but these teachers that don't know the history or the threads or this or about the body they're teaching, because they went through something that was just very fast weekend reformer fitness. And so we're not bashing that journey, but it's like, you're not learning Pilates, you're learning these exercises on a fitness level that are different, that don't really thread in. Yeah.
It's almost, I mean, it's
and I'm not talking about, there are ones that are more OG contemporary, because we have friends that do reformer classes, but it's very much the kind of OG contemporary classes.
Yeah. I almost want to call it like classical contemporary.
Yeah. But I've seen ones, I don't know if you've seen this, where they're now putting TheraBands on the foot bar and then hooking it to the people, and they're doing things on the TheraBand on the reformer as it's moving with it attached to the reformer and themselves.
I mean, that just doesn't seem safe or necessary.
Right, no. But that's kind of when we talk about, that's not Pilates. It's like, you have the spring. Why are you adding a TheraBand?
Yeah.
You have the spring. Why are you doing this? Why are you putting a ball between the foot and the foot bar and this and that? It's those kind of things that you're like,
it's not safe. It's not really necessary if you're doing the movement properly anyway. And then, like, and so you're using the reformer as a piece of gym equipment.
Exactly.
Which, yes, it's fitness. It is exercise. But you can probably do the thing you're trying to do better
in a gym.
And that's my feeling, where I'm like, why use the reformer as a leg press machine? Footwork is not a leg press. If you want that, go do a leg press and do your Pilates. Like, you don't.
Because a leg press, if you even just to get technical about it, it's a totally different angle. It's a totally different push into the body and push kind of. Push in. It's a different situation, support, feedback for the body than footwork. Footwork is not about a leg press, like you said.
So you're really not trying to even build the same hypertrophy, like, strength in your footwork on a reformer as you would be if you're trying to build that in a leg press in a gym. So I think that's also, like, where the education comes in. Like, what are you actually trying to do? Can that even be done on the reformer? Because, like, why not use something else if it's going to be more effective for that thing you're trying to do? And then go do your Pilates, too.
Yeah. Well, and I can't remember, but I do remember you and I were watching something on social media, and we were watching the exercise, and they were using the reformer, and we said, wouldn't it be better to have that person doing it on the floor? Whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, but it's like, why are you using a reformer when you could have them on the floor?
Yeah.
And I can't
it's
remember.
Like safer, it's more effective.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where it goes into being fully comprehensive, whether it's contemporary, whether it's traditional or classical or whatever it is if you know the full scope of movement in the Pilates studio and the work, you're not going to go think this is a leg press. You're going to know the why, what the weight is, what it should be. if someone has this injury, this is what we're going to do.
How to adapt.
How to adapt. It's just, and be more confident in it as well.
Mm-hmm. Understand all of that
because you're like, okay, you've got that understanding, like you said. Okay, I understand. I know the chair. I know what this, and this is what I want. This is what I want them to feel, so I can adjust and do this.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have a chair.
Yeah. Because then, like, you could say, okay, you're quote-unquote making something up, but you're not, because you're using the educated knowledge of the work
exactly,
and adapting it to what is available and what's needed at the time.
Yeah.
So just because something is not in that classical order doesn't mean it's not necessarily Pilates. It still counts. But is it is it recognizable? Is it needed? Is it necessary? Is it safe? Is it appropriate?
Why? Well, and also like what you said, because if you think about, for me, and I think about Pilates, and yes, we know the order, we teach the traditional order, blah, 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 but that doesn't mean that client comes in, it's like, okay, they have to do this, this, this.
Yeah.
We're still teaching to the body. So it's like, okay, let's do this. Oh, this is happening. Oh, okay, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do this. We need to, yeah. So it's like, it's not this like you're talking about. It has to be this, has to do this.
Yeah.
And I would say any comprehensively trained teacher is going to teach that way.
Yeah.
If they were trained in terms of the whole, reasoning of Pilates.
Yeah.
Because they're going to understand just because a person can't do this doesn't mean they can't do this. Or if they can't do this, then we need to go and try this. And that doesn't mean that they can't do anything.
Yeah. You're not telling them, well, you can't go do this because you can't do that
this.
one.
Yeah.
It's like, let's work with them to see what they need.
Yeah,
and
there's building blocks. There's all these things that we can feed into them to maybe later go, oh, look.
Now you can, because maybe we did some of the functional training.
Exactly.
We did some of the other Pilates exercises. And it's all fine.
It's not like, oh, you can't do that, so you can't do this.
Yeah. Too bad. Tough luck.
And you're done.
But it is interesting because, people think I'm classically trained coming from a ballet background. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, I'm OG contemporary, and I have traditional roots and functional training and, movement science education. And you can add it all together.
Especially the longer we teach, because I was taught traditionally, but my teacher worked with Eve Gentry, so a lot of Eve Gentry. Mm-hmm. And then I taught in contemporary studios. Mm-hmm. And then I taught in PT and rehab. And then it's just like you learn functional training and it's like this and that. And so the longer you teach, but I guess that just goes back to the foundation.
Yeah.
If you have that foundation, as you move through your journey, you just add into that foundation that makes you a better teacher for your clients.
Because if you have a well-rounded, comprehensive, and strong foundational knowledge of Pilates,
you're not going to go into the circus crap.
Then you understand, how to use it all and how to build on it.
Yes.
Because,
and how to navigate with the clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I find it interesting. I get annoyed of the this counts, that doesn't argument. But I think, especially for new teachers coming in, it's so confusing right now.
It's so confusing. And I know, we have friends on social media that are very vocal about, is this Pilates, is this not? And I think the bottom line when they're being vocal is that, what are you doing? Why?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this? And this is dangerous.
Yeah, that's
what they're calling out. It's not that's not Pilates. It's like, what are you doing? Why?
And why are you doing
that? Is unsafe. Your client's going to get hurt. It's like...
Yeah, the things that are just unsafe or inappropriate that we're seeing that then get a lot of attention because things are viral and, fun to watch. But just
So it's not fun to watch someone fall on their head.
well, no, but like some
and they're
of,
showing that.
they are showing that. But some of these things of like big flippy doodle things off the Cadillac and the, you know, the reformer
Yes.
with stuff like stacked on top of the reformer, all those things, like they're fun to watch. And you're like, wow, someone did that. Cool. But that doesn't mean you should be teaching that to your clients.
And I think that's you're calling out that's a problem because you have, I remember way back, when Pilates Anytime came out. And before that, you know, we didn't have Pilates.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing.
But I would see teachers that would come in and they literally would write down the workout off.
Yeah.
And then they would teach it to every single client that week.
Right.
And there was nothing on Pilates Anytime that was dangerous. There was nothing that was like,
Right.
But it's like, you're just kind of, it's worse because now people are on social media with people doing, like you said,
Not
these
a
crazy
trusted
things,
source.
not a trusted source like Pilates Anytime. And then they're giving that to their clients.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous and it's scary because they saw it and they saw someone do it and they're like, ooh, that's cool.
Like, let's try that.
Where before it was like, at least off Pilates Anytime, they weren't doing anything that was unsafe.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just like copying the whole workout. But now it's copying these crazy, insane.
And like just going back to like, so if somebody's just copying, whether it's a trusted source, just the workout, or if it's an untrusted source like social media and you're just picking an exercise off that for a client, both have the issue of you're not adapting it to the client. And why are you picking those exercises? Because it's different, as we've talked about before, to teach a group class where you can just do a workout and pick a stream of exercises versus working one-on-one with someone when you should be adapting the work for them and
Instead of
why.
Yeah.
So even if someone's just picking something off social media to do some crazy thing, how do you build into that? Does this person have the foundational blocks to know how to do it?
And that's probably not happening, the building into that.
Yeah, because you could argue like flying squirrel on the Cadillac's insane. It is a true Pilates exercise.
Or even,
but,
I was thinking the control off, the balance control off. I mean, all these you're like, oh my God, that's real? But yes, it is. But you prepare the client for it.
Because it's in the work, there's building blocks towards it. The equipment is also built for that load and that angle of spring.
Flying squirrel, you are not sitting on the push-through bar or hanging your whole, it's like,
Please don't sit on the push-through bar.
Please don't sit on the push-through bar. Or stand on it.
Or pull springs off of it.
Yeah, that one was off. Yeah. Bottom load. Yeah, that was crazy.
Anyway.
Yeah. we digress.
But those things, like, yes, they might seem crazy. They are in the original Pilates work, but the equipment was designed with that spring trajectory and load in mind. And there are building blocks within the work to get a client and gear them up to it.
Oh, that kind of almost answers the question as well. What is Pilates? It's like, was this apparatus created to support this, whatever you're doing? This movement?
Yeah.
Because the load of the push-through bar, the load of the spring, the load of this, the load of that, the trajectory of everything, maybe no. And if not, then I shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen things going, oh, that is not made for that.
Yeah.
That will not support that person.
Like, do a few more of those and you're on your head.
Like, And I think that's something to think about, too.
Yeah, I guess teachers should just ask themselves, like we always say, is this movement for this client? Do they have the foundations to understand how to do it? Have we built up to it?
Do they understand the concepts you're asking them to do?
Yeah.
Use the body the way you're asking them to use it.
Yeah. And then is the equipment made for that movement? Can it be safely and effectively used in that way? Is there a safer and a more effective way to do it? Not on that. Then maybe the answer is no, don't do that.
Exactly. Yeah, but I think knowing... I think like when people are in our teacher training program and we talk a lot about critical thinking, we talk a lot about understanding what you're asking the client to do, the body movement. If you've gone through a training that's like that, then you are going to go, okay, I do want them to, like, there's some great inversions and some fun things, but it's like if you've been fully trained where you understand, then you can prepare the client to do these things in a safe way that actually the apparatus is designed for and will support.
Yeah. That it just all goes back to critical thinking. And the argument not being about what counts as Pilates, what doesn't, because I don't like that.
Ooh, that looks cool. I want to do that.
Yeah. It's just what is effective, safe, and appropriate, and how can we best serve this client?
Yeah. And I do think that because we both are very, very adamant about certification.
Yeah.
And we both fully believe in being fully comprehensively trained. And I do believe people that, you know, because they like Pilates, maybe they just do the mat certification or they go through this group. But if you really love Pilates and teaching, eventually you're going to have to go the route of the fully comprehensive.
And you should, to really understand the work. It doesn't mean you have to teach all of it all the time. You can go teach your mat class and your reformer class and even your reformer fitness class and whatever. But as a Pilates teacher, you should have a fully comprehensive certification and then also be certified and get your MPCP credentials.
Yes. And that's the only certifying body that we have as Pilates teachers is the MPCP.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think we got it all out in a pretty
fairly cohesive way.
For a Tuesday afternoon.
I don't know, but if you guys have an answer to what is Pilates, what do you think counts as Pilates, what do you distinguish between classical, traditional, original, contemporary, modern, and reformer fitness?
Mm-hmm. We want to hear. Yeah, we should put that on our threads as a question.
Yeah,
that will blow up.
What do you think?
But
we have our May workshop coming up where we talk about functional exercises, actually.
In the Pilates studio. So it kind of threaded in very nicely because we do teach functional exercises in the Pilates studio. And a lot of them can be used for many different aspects for your client. And it's kind of, again, critical thinking of, that would be good for this client because da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. So it's on our website. You can book now. It's in May, I think May 17th.
That sounds right.
Yeah. For CECs, of course, for NC. But why can't I speak today?
Control all.
I'm on the board and I can't even pronounce it right now. And you're like, yeah, you do. We're both there. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. So thanks for listening. Oh my gosh.
We did it.
Yay.
Bye.